everyone. Now, I'd just like to say that I believe science should be incredibly tangible. So I want to talk to you about sex. Men and women, Venus and Mars. Men and women are extremely different. Across the centuries, we have seen society extremify the differences between men and women. Men hunt, women gather. These societal roles stem from the very real physical differences between men and women. Essentially, women have babies and men don't. But over the last century or so, there has been a trend to equate aspects of masculine and feminine roles. Following this, we see increasing responsibility from males in relation to contraception. The other day, a male friend was talking to me about his girlfriend. He excitedly informed me, "We are pregnant." He didn't say she is pregnant. He didn't say my homegirl's pregnant. He said, "We are pregnant." My friend's comments made me realise that times have changed and pregnancy is no longer simply a women's issue, legally or socially. Science needs to keep up with these changes. We need a male reversible contraceptive. We've been trying in vain to discover a foolproof male contraceptive method. Looking at the efficacy of current methods, it's clear that what we've got works, sort of. Without the use of any protection during sex, 85% of encounters result in unintended pregnancy. By using a condom, this can be cut significantly to 15 to 25%, depending on who you talk to. The unintended pregnancy from the unreliable and completely ill-advised withdrawal method still sits at an incredible 27%. So why do we actually need another contraceptive method? I guess the key question here is what happens because of all these unintended pregnancies. Now, I want to be clear. I want to avoid a debate on abortion, but suffice to say that some women choose to carry the fetus to full term and others don't. There are significant repercussions for both. Having a child, as I'm constantly reminded by my mother, is life-changing. On the other end of the spectrum, an abortion is no easy undertaking. According to Statistics New Zealand, there were 15,863 abortions last year in New Zealand. 25% of these, roughly, were not a woman's first abortion. Looking at New Zealand as a whole, this is nearly 20% of every 1,000 women aged between 15 and 45 years old having an abortion. These statistics are not okay. We need to look at choice when it comes to sex and contraceptive education. We need to look at positive family planning and constructive choices because science does give us that power. And it is up to us to use it effectively. Abortion is not a casual thing, it is not a necessary thing, and it is not something that should have to happen to 16,000 New Zealand women in 1 year alone. Now, this provides us with the challenge of creating a contraceptive that is essentially impossible to screw up and end up with an unintended pregnancy. As you can see, almost all the female methods have been covered. The female system is highly intricate, but controlled and clear targets for contraception have been chosen. There is one primary follicle in which all the energy and resources are invested to grow. Now, this allows the production of one mature egg from the fallopian tubes once a month. In contrast, the variety of male contraceptives are very limited given the female supermarket available. But why are there so few options available for men? Well, the sheer volume of sperm produced in a single ejaculate is overwhelming. There's nearly 1 billion sperm in there. Trying to contain this is like having a billion kids, giving them all candy laced with caffeine, free kittens, and letting them roam around on the jungle gym. Now, faced with this chaotic playground of sperm, how do we actually make a contraceptive for men work? By looking at the events leading up to fertilisation. There we go. We can examine the points possible in the pathway from the growth of sperm, which is known as spermatogenesis, through capacitation, which is the movement of sperm through the tubules to ejaculation, and the intravaginal race towards the egg. From examining this pathway, we can glean 4 major areas to try and target a male contraceptive at. We could try and target sperm production and try and reduce this below fertile levels. We could try and stop the sperm's ability to move properly, so they cannot swim towards the egg. We could also try and stop the sperm's ability to bind to the egg, or we can try and target the hormones which are in charge of running the whole show. Now, this is the pathway of the pathway of capacitation of sperm. So they're grown in here, and they come up here and spread out and out the end of the testicles. Now, and you can see the female one occurs, the eggs are grown and come out the fallopian tubes. Now, hormonal methods have been tried in males a lot. There has been a huge drive to find an equivalent of the female oral contraceptive, but the side effects of playing around with testosterone have been very serious, and many trials have been halted or abandoned. Physically targeting the sperm seems like the clearest way forward. The crucial aspect of targeting the sperm is it prevents a process known as the acrosomal reaction from taking place. This is the connection of sperm and egg and is technically known as fertilisation. Each sperm is composed of a headpiece, a midpiece, and a tail. The head holds the DNA, which allows the transfer of the father's genes into the child. The midpiece holds the mitochondria, which conducts energy and allows the tail to move and propel the sperm towards the egg. Once one sperm reaches the egg, the head of the sperm must fuse with the outer component of the egg, allowing the egg to transfer the DNA from the sperm into the egg. And also, this process prevents other sperm from reaching the egg by producing a charged jelly-like layer around the egg, essentially creating a force field, preventing other sperm from getting in. Now, this diagram shows the erosion of the outer layer of the head of the sperm to actually allow you to visualize this process. As you can see, it slowly degrades, leaving the head of the nucleus exposed and allowing DNA transfer to occur. Understanding this process allows you to understand how a drug in this pathway could work. Now, my proposed drug to target this pathway is called VasoGel. Officially, it is called reversible inhibition of sperm under guidance, but scientists are really terrible at giving things sensible names, so let's just call it VasoGel. It works by stopping the function of the proteins at the head of the sperm, the very proteins which allow the acrosomal reaction to take place. It is administered, now this is really important, by first numbing and then a simple injection at the base of the penis. This is the tube which carries the sperm on the path towards ejaculation. Now, this injection contains a polymer called styrene maleic anhydride, or SMA. Within the 90 minutes following the injection, the polymer solidifies and sticks to the inside of the vas deferens. It doesn't completely block the tube, so the sperm can still pass through normally, and normal ejaculation does occur. Now, as the sperm pass through the vas deferens, they are essentially neutralized by the positive charge of the VasoGel. Now, this causes the sperm to morph and deform, and in some cases explode prior to ejaculation, so the acrosomal reaction, which we just learned about, cannot take place, rendering the sperm ineffective when it comes to fertilization. Now, if someone were to describe an ideal contraceptive to me, it would be non-hormonal, it would have negligible side effects, it would be reversible, and above all, it would be effective. Wait, so VasoGel is non-hormonal, it has negligible side effects, it is fully reversible, and it is 100% effective. Before any drug enters the market, it must be put past very rigorous testing. VasoGel has been thoroughly put through the mill over the last 10 years. Over this period, we have seen not one single pregnancy. They have also shown that a single 60 microgram shot provides between 8 to 10 years worth of contraception for a man. This drug has been taken up by America, Canada, and at least 7 other countries around the world, aiming to be widely available by 2015. Because the trial period has been so long, many men have dropped out over the last 10 years, making a conscious choice to have children. And this has allowed us to prove that the drug is 100% reversible with a simple bicarbonate of soda or baking soda injection. This essentially neutralizes and flushes out the VasoGel. Now, imagine being able to provide this kind of contraception to young people just sitting out in the world. Being able to know that your son, who's just started out at uni, won't have to quit work to work full-time and pay child support for his O-week misadventures at ESTAB. Now, but this sort of drug isn't just for those who have one-night stands. This is for those who are involved in committed relationships but don't yet want to have children, or those who have had all the children they can actually afford to feed for now. We can immediately see how something like this would be great for international aid in places where contraception isn't freely available. VasoGel is in high demand, particularly in developing countries with high population growth rates. The advantage of producing an extremely cheap, sterile, single-shot injection with a 10-year lifespan provides a great choice for people struggling on the poverty line, where another mouth to feed might see that child abandoned or facing malnutrition. Providing people with effective family planning is part of our social responsibility. Setting up outreach clinics with this kind of drug also facilitates open discussion of contraception, sexual health, and well-being. It allows the spread of information and the arrest of many myths that arise around this kind of topic. There is also the potential for combining this kind of drug with other drugs in a single-shot injection. From an environmental standpoint, there are limited numbers sustainable in the population with current resource use. Looking at the UN stats for population growth and predicted population growth, we see that there have already been policies introduced to try and stem this overwhelming growth. I'm sure that everyone's heard of China's famed one-child policy, and countries such as India are now attempting to follow suit. Providing parents with safer and more effective options like VasoGel gives us the power back to those whose lives are directly affected by such policies. Now, finally, there's something else I want to tell you about, but you've got to take it with a grain of salt. There has been one study conducted into the comparison of those using VasoGel and those not using VasoGel in conjunction with transmission of HIV. Now, this is the kind of spin-off effect that is extremely common in science, and it is definitely something that warrants further scientific research. But one study isn't enough for me to claim that this works 100%. It is clear that this drug has huge social benefits, both in New Zealand and globally. But what does it actually take to make something like this economically viable? I see in New Zealand that there are 3 areas we could possibly use a drug like this beyond its initial purposes. The main income source for New Zealand is through our primary industry, agriculture. Using a drug like this for pest control, in animal husbandry for test rams or cattle, or in domesticated pets as a safer and cheaper alternative to neutering, is a wise option for investigation. New Zealand needs to be conducting this kind of research. We need to increase collaborations between science and primary industries. The ability to imagine novel use of drugs like these is essential to drive our economic development forward. Non-hormonal contraceptive methods can improve our perceived environmental stability, promoting our clean and green image worldwide. We want to be seen as a country at the forefront of these technologies and look to the novel use of drugs to solve existing problems. Science may seem incredibly grounded, but whilst good science is based in facts, it also relies on vision and technology shifts through innovation. It requires people to take a chance, and with this, we can improve the overall social and economic outlook for New Zealand. Thank you.